Hello and thanks for checking out ChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Hello Canadian MJ friends, checking in today. We're just going to be looking at the four major Canadian MJ names. They were trading, the US markets were closed, so TLRY was not trading. And we have some insights to be looking at. First off, just touching back on the last video yesterday. Really appreciate everybody's feedback and comments, and those that did disagree with me did it very respectfully, so productive all around, so appreciate that. A couple points that I want to make. Number one, a little bit of misinterpretation of when I say write your position off as zero. If you are going to hold APHA through all of this, write your position off as zero. The reason I said that is not because APHA is worth zero. It's the psychological mindset that you have to put yourself in to detach from this money, because otherwise your day is going to get ruined on a very frequent basis. So if you are the kind of person that's checking your portfolio every day and you feel that sickening feeling in your stomach, and you react negatively to it, and it perhaps leaches into other aspects of your life, maybe it makes you more irritable to fight with your partner, as an example. These are things that are obviously very detrimental to you psychologically long term. If you write it off as zero and you detach from that money, that can allow you to shake it off and not let it creep into your life. When I was starting out trading, probably in my first few years, I realized one of the reasons that I knew I could do this was because I would be hanging out with a bunch of my friends and no one had any idea if I made thousands of dollars or lost thousands of dollars that day. And I proved it to myself that it was almost like a little science experiment. Can anybody tell that I just had a huge day and made a lot of money today, or that I had a big hit and I lost a lot of money today? And to be able to contain myself with both sides of the emotional spectrum, that was key for me in terms of progressing and doing this long term. Another point I want to make. Okay, so a lot of people are asking about, first off, suggestion. If you find this fascinating, you have to watch Betting on Zero on Netflix. It's about Ackman, and it's pretty much this exact story, but on a much bigger scale. If you think this is wild, just watch that documentary. So a lot of information to gain from watching that. So that's why I suggested. I also highly suggest watching Dirty Money on Netflix. I believe it's episode number 3, where they're talking about Valiant and pharmaceutical companies. Very similar stuff going on, and we can get insight into what has happened in the past. How did it play out? Those are both worth watching. I highly suggest that you do that. Another point that I want to make, a lot of people are wondering, number one, how can this be legal? How can these shorts do this? What's going on? This isn't, number one, it's a big game. I say this all the time. This is a giant game. We think it's real and it matters because money is worth something. That's the only difference from any other game right now in terms of what the stock market is. So first things first, what we have is a company that did significant due diligence. They reached a conclusion and they bet money on what they thought was going to happen, and they then released this information. Do they have a motive? Yes, they want it to go down, but they did not establish short positions and then uncover this information. They established their positions based on the information. It is no different than Warren Buffett doing research in Apple, putting $10 billion on the line for Apple, and then it comes out. Warren Buffett is bullish Apple. People buy as a response to that. This is no different than a bank giving a company an upgrade. The bank says, hey, we've done our research. We like the numbers. We're upgrading this stock. They buy, they give the upgrade, and then people follow that upgrade and run the price up. It's the exact same thing. It's just in the opposite direction. It feels dirty, but this is the way that the game works. People do it to the upside, and people do it to the downside as well. So it's continuing to unfold drama. We saw the shorters on BNN today. Still nobody from the company showing up anywhere. Apparently, they're going to put out a more in-depth response. What they're doing right now is putting everything. They're putting all their eggs in one basket in terms of what is this response going to be like for this company. And this company, Freya, better hit it out of the ballpark, because if there's any doubt and if they leave, checkboxes unmarked, this report that they put out is going to be negatively received. And then the answer is going to be, now what? Now what do we have to be looking for a turnaround and to cause some of these shorts to cover? So I just want to be very clear. Freya is going to see a very solid bounce. When we find a bottom, we're going to see a 20% plus bounce. And we're going to have traders like myself capitalizing on that. There's been great opportunities every morning to trade APHA bullish. Again, this morning as well, a lot of people were trading it. That's because shorts cover first thing. But once that bounce gets going, we're just going to look for a daily lower high to form. So keep that in mind, because there's a lot of people who right now are sitting there saying, oh man, I'm stuck in this position. I'm down. I should have sold. I didn't. When we get this bounce, I'm selling. So keep in mind that there is going to be downward pressure of people who have not sold that will sell once we get this bounce. That being said, there will be a solid bounce. Thursday, tomorrow, apparently the shorts are going to come out with new information. They didn't mention that on the radio segment on BNN here today, but they have mentioned it in the past. That's something to be aware of, that we might be getting more information. So for me, I'm going to continue playing APHA bullish, very short-term flips, because the volatility is there. But other than that, I am just patiently waiting on all these other names, which just had significant bear breaks. So again, just to summarize real quick, got to watch those things that I just suggested, because there's a lot going on, and it happens fairly, I won't say frequently, but it happens plenty of times that you can go back and look at historical events. So today, APHA, we had the very significant gap down open and a huge opportunity first thing. 518 up to 649 in the first 15 minutes. A lot of bulls made a lot of money. Why did it fade all the way back down? Number one, bears are waiting to re-enter short positions once things cool off a little bit. And number two, we had bulls, like all of our traders in our chat room, locking in profit. They buy on the near the open and they sell into that strength. And it was a clear signal to take profit in the sense that we had a very extended move on the 10 minutes to start the day. So again, if you're going to go 20% in the first 10-15 minutes, you lock in that profit because you know consolidation is coming. Whether it's going to be short-term and continuation or just a slow fade, you don't know. But if you're trading counter that trend, you got to lock in that profit, or at least partial positions, and set your stop loss at break even. We're extended to the point now after 3 gap downs that I personally am going to enact a strategy where I enter positions playing the bounce, and perhaps I look to, well, now that I was just going to say establish a game plan where I lock in partial profit on the bounce and then set a stop for the second half at break even, hoping to nail the bottom for when the real bounce finally follows through for that 20% plus move. And now that I say 20% after this morning, it's looking like when the real bounce gets going, it's going to be more in line with 30-40%. But you're risking the potential for a halt. Again, the SEC, in my opinion, is investigating this, whether they're going to halt and investigate or whether they're just going to look at the data and the information that's passed on to them from the shorters remains to be seen. But that is a risk. Again, halts are possible. We have to be aware of that and be protective of that. So on the 15-minute time frame, we've got resistance here of 517 into tomorrow, 525, and 532. If we break 532, there's a lot of space to the upside. So 532 is the most important resistance for me. As far as support goes, it's 485 and 476. So we ended the day with a bit of a tightening range. The USMJ names are going to gap down open tomorrow to catch up with what these Canadian names are doing today. Might not see the Canadian names gap down open. I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a give and take where Canadian MJ maybe opens up a little bit higher and the US, or I should say the US side of Canadian MJ opens lower than where we closed yesterday. So we're watching bears in complete control on any kind of bounce with follow through. We're just going to zoom out to the hourly time frame. And at this point, it's a potential hourly bear flag on APHA, but we are above support to the point where we can potentially use this level tomorrow, 476. Have that be a stop level. It all depends on where we're going to open. We get a lot of information pre-market. The more significant of a gap down, the more aggressive I am playing that initial bounce where shorts do that initial covering. WEED, huge bear break, following along with the continuation of the downtrend, $40 breaking. And that's the kind of thing where at this point, you probably already have established your game plan or lack thereof, and you've made up your mind on what you're going to be doing and how to be playing the space. But a break of $40 is a very clear level to go short on, and we followed through very significant. That's a very easy 5% trade to go bearish on $40 breaking because there is no support nearby after it, and you know a ton of stop losses are going to be triggered. It's also an easy, clear signal to exit a position if you're bullish and re-enter lower. And you could have re-entered 5% more shares. So again, there's lots of ways to be playing this. Obviously, you want to be comfortable as a trader if you're going to try and maneuver around in this space. You don't just want to say, all right, I'm a trader now after, being a long-term holder and going through enough red to make you want to try something different. But there are definitely ways to be playing what is going on right now, not to mention the bears are making a killing. So on any kind of bounce, the hourly lower high will look to be set, potentially set one at the end of the day there at 38.40. Again, tomorrow morning, the WED bulls have to hold 36.36. It's a potential bottom fishing play. And then we have to turn around and break 38.40 for this bounce to get any kind of follow through. The next support level for WED on the daily time frame, we're looking at the gap fill of 34.50 back all the way in August. ACB, big bear break, 707, clear bear signal. As soon as that broke, that was our only support level nearby, and we dumped significantly. Easy 10% dump for bears to capitalize on or bulls to exit and be able to reload cheaper. The next support level is down at 607, followed by 529. We are in free fall right now. This was a small support level established by these bulls that just broke, and now we have another leg down. So again, at this point, if you have not sold APHA, now is not a good time to sell. We've had multiple gap downs, and again, if you have not sold yet, you don't want to be selling, tomorrow, because that will probably mark the bottom before that temporary bounce does get going. So just want to make that point clear as well. So ACB closed at the low of the day. More likely for a gap down open tomorrow on the Canadian side of things, because we did close with all the bear momentum pointing downwards. And Cron pulling back significantly as well. The inside bar bear break was a clear bear signal. Anybody going bearish at 1372 had the possibility of very significant gains today. And again, the bulls selling and the ability to reload. And here on the hourly time frame, we've got a resistance level of 1317 and support is down at 1219. Best case for the bulls tomorrow, pull back a little bit, hold 1219, bull break of 1317 to change the hourly trend. We are going to anticipate Cron is going to form a daily higher low, and we'll see if that daily higher low can hold at 1219 if that support level does hold tomorrow. So there's lessons to be learned through all of this. It may suck right now if you are a bull and you're losing money, but I know I keep saying the same things over and over, but just trying to hammer points home. I went through all of this. I had big losses. I was trading penny stocks. I turned 7 grand into 43 grand when I was road tripping around the country and living out of my car and sleeping on the ground. That's big money to me at that age. Fresh out of college, I just made 35 grand in, less than a year trading stocks. I'm a genius. I can do this forever. I can click buttons and manifest money and do whatever I want. And I gave it all back. I didn't sell, and I held, and it was the fundamentals. That's the reason the company was going up. And that was the significant lesson that I learned. Forget fundamentals. It's all about the charts. I don't care about the fundamentals one bit. Well, I take that back. I care about fundamentals a little bit. So that was my lesson. Gave it all back. And it took a lot longer to give it back than I got it. I had already counted my chickens before they hatched. I had this much money. I made this much money. I was doing this well. And over the next year or two, all of it given back. So I was able to rebound. It was a big hit. It was a huge lesson. I never repeated those mistakes again in the rest of my trading career, and I never will again, which is why on these bull markets, Canadian MJ and crypto, I'm selling on the way up and I'm flipping and I'm being very protective and I'm taking my cash, and I admittedly do not make as much on the way up as the bulls who just sit there and hold. Where I come out ahead is I don't give anything back once we do top out and we start to pull back. So that's the strategy that I learned from my lesson from getting kicked in the face as a trader early on. And these are lessons that we can learn from this current MJ market. Appreciate you watching. Hope you all continue to do good things out there. Again, got to do everything that we can psychologically to not let this affect our everyday lives. It's much harder said than done, but it is absolutely possible, and it takes a lot of work, and I promise your life will be better off if you are able to detach in that way and not have the emotional connection to your investments or trades. Thanks again. We'll see you tomorrow.